And it would have been possible with the speed the country was moving on. But somehow, we are there. It's never too late. I think you campaign with your media partners and colleagues. Please force us that you go on that path, have chart of economy, and move the country back to where it was 2017.
Right. I think this is very important, and we recognize that you have been, I think, championing this cause of Charter of Economy for many years. And on behalf of at least Prime Institute, I can commit that in the future, in next, going to elections, whenever we go to next elections, we will be actually working on the Charter of Economy, and we'll come back to you with your inputs, and of course other political parties would be involved in that process also. And certainly I think this is very important. And moving on, I just want to, you mentioned about the currency, and I just want to pick up the sound money theme. I know you're very also sensitive on that point, but I just want to hear your views on this association between strong currency.
गुफ्तगू कर रहे थे, इस वक्त वो चंद सवालों के जवाब भी दे रहे हैं और टैक्स वसूल से मुताल्लिक उन्होंने बड़ी अहम बात की और ज़ाहिर है टैक्स वसूली पाकिस्तान का एक बड़ा मसला रहा है, एक पेचीदा मसला रहा है, उस पर हुकूमतें बहुत काम भी करती आई हैं.
I'm not trying to take credits on everything, but let me remind you, Pakistan was on PEG system till October 1999. And after the sanctions, putting and fixing the economy, it is I was finance minister, it is PMLN which actually started 80-20, 60-40, 20-80, and then 100% market based. In the first quarter of 1999, first time Pakistan went on interbank, what we call real effective exchange rate. My problem is that in any system, it's not only Pakistan, there are certain speculators, gamblers, hundiwalas, who take the country's currency as a hostage. If the state does not come in play, I think then what will happen is what has happened now. See the recent, did Bank of England not intervene? Did Bangladesh not intervene? India recently intervened. Why? India could afford out of 600 odd billion reserves that throw 98 billion in the market. We don't have that luxury. So we have to make sure that these abuses must be checked. And I think the multilateral have to understand this is neither Bank of England or Federal Reserve that we can afford that if it goes outside the band or below the band and they intervene and spend whatever they spend or buy whatever they buy, we have constraint of forex reserves. So the only tool you have is the making sure that such things do not happen. We have recently started operation. Just as of last 24 hours, our customs have caught one single person in Chaman border. $100,000 he was smuggling, is being smuggled across the border. Can we afford that? We have with these small, our urea, which we import, and the local price courtesy as a cheap provision of gas to those fertilizer companies, obviously then cost of produced and manufactured fertilizer is less. But when we import, local price is 2,600, the imported price is 6,500 to 7,000. So we subsidize, because obviously we can't sell that they export. This is imported is 7,000 and this is imported is 2,300 to the farmer. That imported, which means the one loss is foreign exchange spending, second loss is the subsidy which the state is giving, and the imported stuff is being smuggled out to neighboring countries and from neighboring countries to Central Asian states. You see, these are the things. So we have left the currency on its own natural flow, but the speculative part has to be checked. As I said, we have launched operation. There is a huge smuggling of your US dollars. You are buying coal from a neighboring country in rupees. The rupees come to Pakistan territory in Peshawar or other borders, and they buy your dollars and pay 15-20 rupees extra. So these things have been checked. So these
things are happening ever since Taliban took. वफाकी वज़ीर ख़जाना इसाक डार तकरीब से खिताब कर रहे थे। उन्होंने कहा कि पॉलिसियों के तसलसल में हमेशा मुश्किलात का सामना रहा है और मुल्की मईशत को मुस्तहकम करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं।
चला जी, बढ़ते हैं आगे अपने अगले मौजूद, अगले मेहमान की तरफ। बड़ी ज़बरदस्त पर्सनालिटी आज हमें ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं, बुरहान चिश्ती और बोबो। इनसे आपकी मुलाकात कराएंगे। इन
1 to 2 rupees. If you go to sell, they will give you that rate.
Two rates with a gap of 25 rupees.
No. I hope you don't increase by the time I leave to 50. So you see this. You see, if you go to sell, they'll give you that rate. But when you go to buy, unfortunately, the speculation has hyped to such an extent that they will do private deals maybe at home, your office, and pay 10-50. Is the main cause is basically lack of confidence, and I think we are not trying. We are just creating more, anxiety in the system, and all of us, if we all play our role, due role, I'm sure we can overcome. Hypothetically, many people say that Darsa, leave it open and let it be the grey market. Can somebody guarantee me that if it goes to the grey market rate, that the grey rate will not another 20-25 rupees? I mean, and let me tell you, when I said and gave public statement, few weeks ago or almost 2 months ago, that it should be 200, the calculated read was 194.
So it is now 100 because 94 was at 232 rupees.
Yeah, but
and 220 it was 92. So it's about 100 now.
I know it is 100, but ma'am, at that time, did it come to 200? The speculators did their game. And look at Bangladesh. What did they do? They closed 40 odd money changers. They got, but the state got removed 6 of the biggest banks' treasury heads that they are responsible. I said, all cool. No problem anymore in Bangladesh or India. India had to spend money. They had to spend $98 billion of foreign exchange to market. So they did through market intervention. Bangladesh did like we did in 98-99. So I think we have to see the national and the financial interests of Pakistan. That should be foremost for all of us.
Okay, so you said the State Bank is not like Bank of England or Federal Reserves. So what is your view on the independence of the State Bank and the autonomy which has it got in the last years?
I think it's gone too far.
So what is needed to be done?
You see, why my country should have, the central bank should have the growth as the last priority. Show me a few countries where the growth is last priority.
So if you come
when we come to the bridge, we'll decide how to cross it. I think let's complete the program, IMF. You see, we are committed, so we will deliver. The only program which was delivered in Pakistan was 2013-16. And never before, and it will be my endeavor, no matter how difficult conditions, unreasonable commitments have been made in the past, I would like to deliver even on those so that we complete and have the credit that Pakistan completed the program second time. Because this is a bad thing.
So you said last night on TV that the IMF might be combined. If that is the case, how would you live for the next 2-3 months?
We are living. We have shown you how to live. There is an example of two persons. One who has a salary of 100,000 doesn't have a bank balance, so they carry on. Fourth week they'll go to use things on credit, and when they get the salary they pay. So you have it's a cash flow management. The other one is having same salary but having maybe 1 million in the bank account. So we'll draw from there. So you see, we are not in very easy normal business is not as usual. But it's not the doing of these 2 or 8 months. It is the legacy which has been inherited due to gross mismanagement. I don't want to blame politically. It's not a matter of. It's a matter of misgovernance. A matter of mismanagement. We should not. You see the core. To 40th or 46th economy. That's it needs to be postmortem, and we'll have all the answers. And second biggest problem is that we could not raise our revenues. Third is that we could not control our expenditure and live within means. And as a consequence, you have a huge fiscal deficit, and that is being added to your loans, and plus the depreciation. So we have to see that it's a very simple mathematics. You leave it open the way it is, then it go to any number.
So the way fiscal federalism in Pakistan after the 18th Amendment and 7th NFT award, 57% plus of the revenues goes to provinces, and and what is left with the federal government is not enough to pay the debt servicing. If interest rate comes down, then it would be able to pay the debt servicing and probably defense and pension. Still, there is no spending on that, so this is unsustainable. The taxes which should be collected by the provinces are not there. The devolution to third tier didn't happen. So, do you think we need to roll back some of this, or as an emergency case, or we need to move to the third tier? Because you see, the provinces are strong, federal government is not, and that's making the situation very extremely vulnerable.
Thank you so much. I think very valuable and candid question. I think through the last NFC, not the 18th Amendment. 18th Amendment was later, but let me explain. I was involved in both in the first one indirectly. I had left the government already, within 6 weeks. But obviously, consultation as and when. We shifted the resources from federal to provincial too fast and too much. It was actually not 57.5. The federal federation used to collect federal government 5% collection charges, and then the remainder would be divided 57.5 and 42.5. If you recalculate of the total pie, is almost 60% to the federal government and 40% to the provinces. It has virtually reversed now. The collection charge was reduced to 1. जिसकी वो postage stamps and Gwadar. I refuse to go there, by the way, for this postage stamp. And the for 57.5 reversed to the other side. So virtually federal government is having 40, and the provinces are having, including the adjustment of the lower. Now you are absolutely right, and I think that we need to find a solution. So far, the NFC, which is supposed to be every 5 years, we have not been able to finalize. The Constitution says that once given, you cannot take back. That's another issue. I still believe there are solutions, but obviously I will not share those solutions here. I tried those solutions 2014-17, so that we come up to take care partially this problem. But obviously, even my own provincial government in Punjab would not agree. Obviously, they want more money. This was followed by 18th Amendment, and the idea was that the social sector and health, education, etc. should be shifted. The entire expenditure, and mainly the development expenditure, should be picked up by the province. Unfortunately, despite the concurrent list was abolished, you have seen that all those ministries in some form have re-emerged in the federal government. So you're still bearing those admin expenses. Secondly, you're still carrying many programs which actually now be stricto sensu financed, because they are much bigger. 20% of the divisible pool is a lot of money. It's almost 1/5, extra going there and reduction here. So this problem is there. I have few ideas, but in the national interest, everybody agrees. Otherwise, maybe I have to come with something which will be very drastic.
Will this be an integral part of the Charter of Economy?
I would listen. I will ask an indirect question and a very benign one. Is the security only for the Islamabad, or the security expenditures is for the entire Pakistan to defend the? So I think it's fair that some contribution has to be from the divisible pool, from the gross, and likewise the debt servicing. So these are two big expenditures.
Do you think non-compact defense expenditures should be curtailed in Pakistan?
The things here never get curtailed. Once given is never either. You can't take it back. So we have to find some way forward, some solutions. And I'm thinking few, but it's too early to just give. Before it will start, it will be killed. So I think I better keep it to myself. We'll think some out-of-box solutions, but I think solutions have to be there. Otherwise, this debt will continue to balloon. You will continue to be having high fiscal deficit unless you double your income. But still, 60% will still go to the province. I agree with you.
It's a very important point you have made. I just like to move to the last section of our conversation, and maybe we have a few minutes for the participants. The last part of the question is about the expenditures. PMLN government is credited with the Protections of Economic Reform Act back in 1990s. You were a champion of privatization. You managed to bring down fiscal deficit. But now we're talking about the public expenditures, which is rising, and floods have become a major challenge also post-COVID situation. So I know that reduction of a public expenditure is not easy. However, given the resource constraint we have and the sort of basic resources on especially SOEs, I just want to hear your views going forward on reduction of these expenditures, SOE reforms, and where do we see on your agenda?
Well, I think it's a very important area you're touching. Surely we need to privatize whatever we can privatize to stop the bleeding and an extra burden on the federal budget. We are in that process. We are trying to finalize some transactions, but there's a long process in our system, and everybody who works in these departments and or divisions, most of them have got scared from NAB. So nobody wishes to work, because even if they do with the complete 1000% honesty, they feel scared that tomorrow they'll be called and asked multiple questions. So having said that, yes, we have to the expenditure, you see, in my opinion, very less flexible, particularly on your running of the administration, the current expenditure, which obviously includes the debt servicing. There we have a room, in my opinion. But the security, as I said, that normally, I have not seen anything going down except in 90 post detonation. There was a symbolic reduction of 7 billion. I remember negotiating with General Musharraf at that time in the expenditure. So I haven't seen that ever there has been any decrease in the defense expenditure. So the debt servicing does have a room. If we can manage to control the inflation, which we started in 2013, and we managed to reach there where the inflation went down to 5.25 in 2017. 4.68. So to give the positive rate of return, the policy rate was 5.25. Imagine even today, if it is around 6% against 16%, how much would you save? In terms of debt service, there is a space, but we have to put then macroeconomic indicators, on the right direction. And once you do that, obviously, that's only, or increase your revenue. Your first question was that broad-based, etc. But that here is a space which we can certainly, provided we can bring the inflation down, which is obviously very high right now.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. We have just 5 minutes because Mr. Dar has a meeting with the Prime Minister. I will invite Dr. Manzoor Ahmed to pose a question. If that may be very quick, just a question, no comments, please, and then you go.
No comment. Thank you very much. Just 2 points. One, building on Ali Salman's point. When you're short of resources, you don't go to subsidies. And one of the first things you did was to give 100 billion on energy subsidies to whoever, and some other subsidies. My second question was, which you didn't respond, was what Ali should have said, that previously, when you took over whatever on the imports, we were collecting 37%, and by the time you left, it was 49%. So we are afraid that these subsidies will be collected as indirect taxes from customs, etc. And once again, there was a similar in 2014, this reform, and they came up with all sorts of additional duties, regulatory duties, and since then our exports never recovered because you put so much taxes on imports that nothing can come, nothing can go out, and exports are never a priority. So can I...
I'll answer you both questions. But you see, subsidies, look, who is being subsidized? First of all, you think that your neighboring country has and I think it's a living mean. I think so. Targeted. That's what even the multilateral says, that the subsidy targeted is acceptable to them. So we try to stay within the targeted subsidy, and that only for sorry. On the one side, you are campaigning that exports should be increased and their imports cost has gone up. Now, when FTMA is given electricity on a fixed rate, which actually compensates them for the different government dues on their imports, imported component of the exports. So it's the same thing. So you see, we did give them, we calculated in 3 months of exercise in September 2016 to December 2016, and it worked out to be around 9 to 11 rupees, different products, 9, 9.50, 10. So that's why we gave them average 10 rupee, per product, per dollar they earn at that time. There is, if you recall, 180 billion. So I agree, but you see, you can't just ignore that because subsidies will cause a burden. Then perhaps tomorrow somebody will say, close this social safety net program. What is the need of income support fund to be given? So I think we should be, balanced in our approach, and we should allocate whatever we can conveniently allocate. And I remember this income support fund I introduced in 2008 cabinet, and it was a national income support fund. The blueprint of the budget which I left when I resigned the middle of May because the judges could not be restored, it was 34 billion, and the National Income Support Fund was announced in that budget. The amount has not changed, but the journey it traveled from 2008 to 13 is 34 billion came to 40 billion. When we had 2013, we substantially increased. We increased the number of families. We increased the quarterly stipend. I think the state owed to them. We all owe to them who simply cannot live without that. So we increased to 144 billion at that time. Now it has further increased. So I think we have to create a balance. Your second question, obviously the exports. We should obviously do whatever facilities we can give to increase our exports. And I think the turf was a scheme whereby 400 billion at that very almost nominal 1% rate was given by the state. I have no issue with that. But they also added up 500 billion. So that's why you got export increase of $4 billion due to that. So that is an area I think we should aim at. If we can have 12 to 15% of GDP in exports, we are in business. We don't have to depend on the external borrowing.
Mansoor sir and Parvez sir, and then we will have to close. Mansoor sir, just take 2 quick questions and then we will.
Okay. We set up the country's first technology incubation center last in 2002, and we talked about out of box. We have missed hundreds of startup companies who have left Pakistan. Millions of dollars worth have gone to America and Europe because we do not have a very well-defined, sustained structure for innovation economy in Pakistan. 3 of our startups are unicorns today. So the question is, would it matter that if we have an independent Minister of Innovation, because we have small Ministry of IT Telecom doing little bit of innovation, PC1s, then we have HEC for university.
Sure.
And instead of even Pakistanis investing in real estate, how do we attract their money into tech companies? That is the prosperity future of the box. Thank you.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I think we have a lot of scope, in my opinion, the IT sector. We can grow our exports, and there's a lot of. So we are looking into this, how we can facilitate your proposal as to Ministry of Innovation. We have right now, if you know, in one of the division special initiatives, there's a planning, development, and special initiatives. If there can be, perhaps special initiative can be renamed as innovation. It should be separated, and one division can be broken into 2. But there's a suggestions I'll share with my colleagues and Prime Minister Show.
I have a question. We don't have dollars. There's a mismanagement in the Ministry of Food Security. We have extra stock of 1.2 million tons of sugar. We can earn $900 million. They have delayed it. We security is delaying it, and unfortunately, farmers are going to suffer. There's a high rate of sugar cane has been imposed, and the sugar prices are low. Farmers will not be paid. Why $800 to $900 million without subsidy? And we have next time we have a bumper crop, and it's not. I'm not discussing. You are not doing it. It's a Ministry of Food. Please, it's a very serious situation. Things will go very bad. Today, I'll tell you the seriousness. Today they called me for a meeting at 2 o'clock. In the morning, I get a message. Their meeting is at 11 o'clock. Sir, they are not serious. Please take the issues in your hands. Thank you.
मेरी आपसे गुजारिश होगी कि आप प्लीज take back leave from the organizers here. Do attend that meeting, and you have been part of certain meetings I've held on this account. First of all, let me correct your figures. 1.2 million at the current rate will not get you 900, it will get you $700 million. So you're out by $200 million in your numbers. Just let me first, Raji. It's a dispute between you. I have taken presentation. You were there, National Food Security. We should not be talking in this large crowd, but now I have to because you have raised a question. I'm duty bound to share. They say that your production next year will be 6.2 to 3 million, and you claim, you mean your industry, not you individually, 8.1 million. So either party has to prove, and you know they have been trying that we should give it some start, see what is the production, fishing season has started. I'm doing my best. But obviously, I cannot overtake the entire government. I'm not Prime Minister of Pakistan. I am responsible as the chairman of ECC to try and coordinate. So you have seen I'm making efforts, and
I'm not criticizing your efforts.
Please, आप attend करें ना meeting attend. अभी meeting attend करें. We'll make a beginning.
You're always taking a good decision, making decisions के बाद.
The only problem is why this has happened again. Everybody is cautious. The scandal which happened in the last 4 years in this country. We have been given, and he is a witness that I have been giving export permissions, but the price domestic did not increase. It remained 52 to 54. We got about 650,000 metric tons between 2013-17. There was no issue. But here, a new government comes without closing their eyes, not checking the stocks in the country, and allows 1 million, and then allows another 200,000 up to 200,000, and there's a chaos, and then there's import. I mean, there's a scandal. Hundreds of billions rupees have been siphoned off. By whom? So you see, that's why national security is probably cautious. They don't want to, jump in the same boat. So they're extra cautious. And I am supporter. And we will, inshallah.
Why do the sugar daddies always win? It was my turn. I never made the question.
Last question, Parvez Tahir Sahib.
Janab.
Last but not the least.
Janab Farmao.
Very simple question.
Ji.
Why does federal government spend money under PSDP in provincial domain? All PSDP is debt funded. So why should you spend money on things that the province should be doing? Secondly, why should we be doing PISP as federal government now? And finally, when IMF is mentioned to you at the crab shows, as I call them, or Mr. is mentioned, why do you get emotional? Just state your point of view. We don't want our finance minister to look back and back and back. Look forward. You have an opportunity to fix the structure of the economy. Please focus on that. And don't be distracted by...
Thank you so much for your candid advice. When it comes to Pakistan, I become emotional. Whether I'm in opposition, I am in London, I am in Pakistan. I have paid a price for being emotional and imposing fiscal discipline on those who never accept fiscal discipline in this country. Perhaps I'm the only finance minister, and perhaps never before, never after me, somebody will come. And I have paid a price of 5 years exile. So I'm sure you're very privy to that. So I don't mind. It is for the country. And I would advise to every finance minister that he should think that he owes this to God Almighty and the 230 million people of Pakistan. Unless we impose, it should start from me. It should start from my leader. And I did this exactly 2013. The Prime Minister of Pakistan used to have 43 billion discretionary grant. Aapko yaad ho. You can pick up the PSDB, you'll find out that. I made it zero on day, the first budget I presented in 5 days. On 12th of June 2013, the Prime Minister discretionary grant was made zero. The Federal Minister discretionary grant was made zero, including myself. So if I can do that, then I will obviously extend the similar discipline to everybody and across the board in the country. If somebody doesn't like it, I can't help it. Only then we will go. We're actually reaching where we reached 2017, but that was very hard discipline and very difficult path I have to tread, and we reach there on there. That means country has the resilience, and we can do that. जो आपका दूसरा सवाल है, the first one, I wish the Subas should pick up all this development expenditure. They should.
You have the power not to do it.
So that means neither we do it nor they do it, and the public get ruined. You see, this is the problem. You think that all these mega projects, the dams and the motorways and the highways would have been there if we have been dependent on the Subas? No.
I'm not talking of motorways, I'm talking of...
Let's not do the crosstalk. Professor, your point is
well. Thank you so much, Behral. I wish that jitni jaldi ho jaye, it is a win-win for the federal government and the budget, because we get relief if we don't spend. But thank you. Please, raise it to the public and let it be known to the provinces. I hope that it doesn't fall on the deaf ears, that they understand and they follow your very good advice. Ji.
Thank you so much.
We have to conclude. Elephant in the room that we're not talking about is basically,
I can't find one.
but it's there. The IMF. Either you deal with the IMF and make sure that we get the reviews done, or that gets delayed and we try other ways of getting finances. Those channels will not be amenable without the IMF review in place and on board. So wouldn't that be better to get that done?
I don't blame the fund, but let me first of all say that the 9th review in totality, all performance criteria is in order. Had they come in October and reviewed, the 9th review would have been over. I don't want to indulge into global politics, but I did request them to come end of October or early November. They chose not to. We created credibility gap as a country. When you make agreed conditionalities, you should think many times at that time, but not later. Once you agree, then you should implement. I think it's honorable and ethically, contractually, you are bound to implement. Again, unfortunately, one has to, cite why it has happened. So, having agreed a roadmap, your country and the previous government chose not only not to implement, but to reverse what they had done earlier, right? So that has created credibility gap. I don't blame fund. Now, IMF wishes to see, keeping into that experience, not only the previous quarter. Normally they see when they come, how the things are running in the current quarter, which is not under review. But now they want to see all the next 3 quarters. Okay, fine. I'm ready. I'm transparent. I'm prepared to provide them whatever we think is the reality as of now. Now they have extended their request or demand that we should also demonstrate how we would meet the needs of $16 billion required for reconstruction rehabilitation phase post-flood. Now that is not more than 100 billion rupees will be spent in this year. There was rescue and immediate response requirements of around 90 billion, which has been paid through the budget. 70 billion cash, 25,000 each through ISP, transparent way that's been distributed. But also the reconstruction rehabilitation, it takes at least 5 to 7 years. So if it's going to take 5 to 7 years, and worry now, but nobody can obviously, they say the lenders are, the bankers are not the chooser, I won't say that, but the lenders have their own wish list. So, little bit, in my opinion, unrealistic. But since my endeavor is to complete the program, let Pakistan have second time credit that they completed the program. We are known in the world that we are few tranche country, we run away after. That's why the programs have stopped being front loaded. You remember that in the beginning, the program used to be front-loaded, and you would have good chunk of money, maybe half of it in the front or 40%, and then right now they spread it equal on the 12 installment because they're scared that after a few tranches you might run away. That's what happened in the past. So our program is the first one. I wish Pakistan ke credibility ke liye we complete this program as well. That's why, despite I might personally disagree with many things, but I'm trying to provide anything and everything. My team is on that, and I think we should try to complete. You very rightly said, because global financial health certificate giver is the fund. So no matter the money is not big, but obviously the other institutions now follow. If you are on track, then obviously they do business with you. This is a big constraint as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have to conclude the program now. Bundle thanks to the finance minister. Sir, I'm very grateful for your time this morning. I know that you're running between the meetings and you are the most sought after minister in the whole country. We're very grateful for your candid conversation here. I'm sure we will take many of these ideas forward, and particularly your Charter of Economy. I assure that we will be carrying more focused efforts in the future. And definitely will come back to you on that. To end, I would just request the speakers today to come on the stage for a photograph, and then we will say you goodbye, sir.
Thank you so much.
Mohammed Rajpur Saab, Brigade, and Irfan Rawji Saab. Are you more formidable than person?
Who has the shield? Saad? Thank you very much.